Let me, if you don't mind talking about this further, let me ask you on a couple of different issues. There is a very common problem where it's much easier to be a 4-year-old with your parents than your lover. All right. And it is a consistent area of conflict between spouses or the equivalent when the brain injured person is so much more dependent, so much less mature than they remember being in the relationship. And it's much harder to be treated like a child by your lover than your parents. Do you think that you felt some resentment towards him in that period because you weren't having the kind of relationship you remembered that contributed to that?
Not in that way. When you first ask, again, I just keep thinking how supportive he was to me physically and mentally getting better.
Was there a switch in, did he start to treat you less as an object of desire and more just as a, was there a disconnection in the sexual chemistry because of all this?
Well, there was. And then there came a time when, well, there was no interaction. And then there came a time when I wanted to have an interaction and when I had that affair. And prior to that, I had ran into a nurse at the hospital that I was at who happened to be a friend of mine from high school. And I met up with her and I told her that I was in day rehab and I had a brain injury, and we became friends and we saw each other outside the hospital, and I told her that I wanted to start having sex again, and that I hadn't even had my period yet. And so she kind of indirectly retaught me about birth control, and so then I was able to partake, and then I had the affair. When I learned again about birth control, I told my boyfriend, and relationships developed. But I remember being bothered by them, by the relationships, thinking I didn't feel like it was real. I felt like it was pity, kind of, and that it just wasn't right. It wasn't where the affair was voluntary and wanted.
So you felt much sexier with the other man?
Yeah.
Because you didn't have this concern that he was just doing a pity.
Right. And if I could take a second to say, that's not me who I am today.